From the hollers and hills of West Virginia, it's Heavenly Hills Homestead with another episode. Stay tuned. Boom! Well, guys, another day in the books. Look at that, ain't that beautiful? Beautiful, beautiful. I love when they got like some dark clouds like this and then that sun sets there. I even like them when the sun rises like this. It's absolutely gorgeous. You couldn't ask for a better sunset than that. Look at that out through there. Look at how that's just coming through. Ain't that beautiful? Won't be long, guys. I can smell spring coming. Still gonna have some winter, but I can smell spring. Spring is on the way, and we're very, very thankful for that. So very thankful that spring will be here soon. This year we won't have to contend with putting a fence up this year. That's a good thing, man. It took me like 2 weeks to put that fence up or something, right? All the way around this property. It was a hassle working every day from daylight till dark on this fence, but it got up and I benefited from it greatly. And so this year we won't have to contend with that. We just have some other things to contend with. Had a lot of wind, strong wind today. I mean, really strong wind and things, but everything has started to calm down and stuff. So yeah, we're doing good. We're looking good and everything. Let's go down here and take a look at this little patch down here and get on with the rest of it. All right, guys. Well, you can see it. This end right here didn't do real good. Ain't did real hot at all. The sun just didn't have any sun down here on this end. No sun. And when you ain't got no sun down here on this end, you just ain't got it. And stuff. So some of us, you know, it's died back quite a bit and stuff. Next year, maybe if I do it again, maybe we just plant it a little bit sooner, right? A little bit sooner. Down here on this end, looking pretty good. And the closer we get down there to the old bushel gourd stuff, the better it looks. So, and there's still some dead spots, you can see them. But a lot of earthworm holes, you can see. So that's good. Not a lot of erosion. That's good. We like that. So, you know, pretty happy all in all with everything and how everything's went and is going. You know, we'll just continue to monitor all this growing and stuff, and you know, hopefully we have a pretty good. Hopefully this will help us out pretty good. I may end up coming in here, like say, first part of next month, and just planting it all over again, everything, you know, because first part of next month it'd be too cold to plant anything, of course, but it'll be warm enough to where these things can grow out here, right? So and maybe the sun and stuff will help it out, and we'll get some more organic matter in here. We do need the organic matter, so we want those things to grow. I need those roots and all that stuff. Get out of there. Get out of there.
It's growing some.
Yeah, well, not enough. So anyhow, we'll keep an eye on all that and everything, and hopefully we'll be able to plant it and get some more organic matter in here. Yeah. All right, so on to that. Taking. Look at that. Is that not just awesome? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Just Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, it is. I'm telling you what's the truth. It's beautiful. So I've been out here all day today and taking down Christmas lights since it was 60 degrees. Yeah. Oh yeah. Christmas lights have been taken down. No more Christmas lights for you guys. Nope. No more. No more for the neighborhood. Man, it's just beautiful out there. Look at that. I know just as soon as I go get my drone though, it'll be over and done with. So ain't no sense in even trying to run in, grab it, and get it all started up. I should have done it 10 minutes ago. Oh well. It's on to the next one. All right, guys. So Christmas lights are down. No more Christmas lights. Here we are, February the 11th, middle of February almost. And no more Christmas lights now, right? So finally we got them Christmas lights down. Look at this. It looks bare in here, don't it? Good night, living. Oh, the wind has been treacherous today. So took all day to get them all down. Told Annie, I said, it's funny. It takes me 3 days or so, maybe longer, to put all those Christmas lights up. The roof took me like an hour and a half when I did the roof that day, right? It was a long process, putting the lights on the roof. Literally, it took me 5 minutes to take them down. And so, it won't take nearly as long getting them down. So, let's go check on all the animals. Ah, gracious, look at back here. It's beautiful. I love it back here. The way this stuff looks, all them clouds. It starts looking like it, man. The more it looks like that, and this wind that we've been having today, you know that spring is coming. You just know it. Because when the wind picks up like it was today, I mean, it was howling all day today. I mean, blowing hard. Spring's on the way. Spring is on the way. Warm weather's on the way. March will be so bad. I mean, it'll be nasty weather when March comes in. I mean, wind just blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing. But what I'm excited about, it won't be long, and I'll be out here in the garden in shorts and daggone flip-flops. Oh yeah, I'm ready for it, man. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. I am ready for it. Keeps this up, I may have to move somewhere where I can garden all the time. So, yep. I smell something going. It smells good. Let's figure out what that is. Daddy, where you feel? It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I know. You're going to have to get stitches, and that's not going to feel good, baby. You're going to be in bad shape here in just a couple minutes. What happened? All right, guys, so thanks for coming. I'm going to kind of wrap this video up, and I'm going to talk about organic matter and the reasons why it's important to have organic matter in your soil. So, a lot of people are probably going to ask, well, what's organic matter? Don't I have, if I till it up, don't I have organic matter in there? I can remember when I first heard, the term organic matter, and I'm thinking, well, when I till it under, it's got the roots from the grass and weeds and stuff in there. That should be plenty enough organic matter. And that's not true. In fact, a lot of soils are very poor in organic matter. Give you some instances. So, some of the things that are a little bit poorer in organic matter is, like I've said, the ones that have just came up and they tilled it under, right? They tilled their grass, their weeds, etc. under, and they think that that's plenty. People who go and they put a little bit of dirt, right? Their soil of their bag soil of choice, in their raised beds or in their pots or here and there in their garden spots, and they think, well, that should be enough organic matter. So I just want to talk about why it's important, what it is, the amounts that are beneficial to us. Everybody's going to have a little bit of a different opinion on this. You know, especially in the giant growing community, people say you want at least 6% of organic matter, up to like 9%, but not over. And I have talked to growers in the giant growing community who are successful at growing giants at less than 2% or less organic matter in their garden, and people who are very successful at growing with 11% of organic matter in their patch. So you're going to hear it fluctuate, but I am of the belief that there is a happy medium there where organic matter, right, the amount of organic matter that you have meets up, and everything kind of comes together in that happy place, right, where you got good funguses and good bacterias all working together, symbiotic relationships with one another, and they're doing well in the soil. You see this with people on YouTube, with like Jim Kowaleski, I think is his name, up in Maine, and then he goes to Florida for the winter, right? And you see the versatility that he has, and he's able to exploit both areas, because both areas are different. I mean, you know, you're living at the furthest extreme on one end in Maine to the, you know, next to the, you know, the furthest extreme, you know, in Florida, right? You know, so you're really pushing the boundaries, because in Maine you have a very short growing season. In Florida you have a very extended growing season, but it's shortened based on what you're growing, right? And so you have to, you know, those two climates would collide and clash with each other. And he's found this very awesome, cool way of being able to make it work, right? Like his Florida garden is mulch, just mulch, piled up mulch. And the guy Pete, I can't remember his last name, he comes out there. In fact, Justin Rhodes, he just been to his place several weeks ago down in Florida, and he went to his food forest, right? It's awesome down there. You also see this with John, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. I know it's John, I'll think of it in a minute. Anyways, he's out in California. He runs the growingyourgreens.com, right? So he's very successful. He knows how to get these things going, and organic matter is part of that, right? There's other ones out there. I think his name's Pete too. He's up in New Jersey. Runs the food forest up there. He's got a YouTube channel. So there's several of these guys that have found a way that they balance the organic matter to where there's not too much, and the exchange rate is good. You know what I mean? Because you don't want there to be a slow exchange rate. You don't want that exchange rate to be too quick. Organic matter is going to release a ton of phosphorus into your soil, right? So then you're going to want to, you know, balance out how much phosphorus you're going to be able to have to put in, and all these things. So there is a balance to it, and I do believe it can be done to a point where our gardens, our food forests, or whatever look phenomenal. Our giant growing is benefited from this, and from all the beneficials that's in the soil because of it. So I just want to talk about why it's beneficial to you, okay, and to all gardeners to look into the organic matter and really explore the reasons for having it and what it really is, right? It's not just going and getting mulch and throwing it out there and saying, I'm done. Because if that was, then every golf course, every manicured lawn, and all these neighborhoods, these subdivisions with all these nice mulched areas would be flourishing, right, with plant health. But if you ever drive through any of these places I've just mentioned, you're going to find sick and dying plants, right? I guarantee it. And in my mom's subdivision, for example, the same 2 or 3 gardeners, okay, have that subdivision. I think, you know, they kind of compete with one another within that subdivision, but it's the same, okay? Now, you'll see some houses that have one gardener and grass cutter look phenomenal. You'll have another one who looks mediocre, and you'll have another one who's completely dying, right? The plants are dying, the grass is dying, he don't know what he's doing, right? Now that's just a for instance, okay? I'm not saying that happens, but when we went down there, you could tell some lawns look different than others, and it was like, oh, well, y'all take care of your own lawns, right? No. You know, the majority of the people here, you know, pay the two, I think it was 2 of them, 2 different contractors come in, they take care of stuff, you know, they kind of have bidding wars for what goes on there. So, from what I'm understanding. So anyways, you know, some of the houses maybe that look good, maybe they were being taken care of by the people themselves that owned it. Maybe they weren't being paid or done by these contractors. But I do know that the ones that were done appropriately, you could tell that the mulch and everything that they were using looked a little bit better and was not dyed red or any of those other colors. It was good, healthy looking, dark, rich soil that was there around them beds, and you could tell that they knew what to do, and the plants within them were thriving. The grasses looked much greener and better. Okay, so just wanted to, you know, kind of give you an example of you know, it's not just putting mulch down and calling it good, because if that was the case, we could all go to Lowe's, buy us a big bunch of bags of mulch, come home, toss it on the ground, call it good, and walk off, right? It's not that simple. So let's find out, what is organic matter. So soil organic matter content is key for a healthy, high quality soil. All right, they're going to do some highlight methods to in this. They're going to highlight the methods to improve soil organic matter content, which can help ensure adequate soil functionality and soil fertility. It also offers a number of offers a number of solutions for common soil challenges, which are especially critical in Mediterranean regions. Okay, to take ideas on soil quality and soil health further this operation. All right, so the importance of soil organic matter in a healthy soil. Soil organic matter is the organic component of soil. It consists of organic material and plants and animals and material that has been converted by microorganisms in the soil at different stages of decomposition. Soil organic matter has direct benefits for agricultural and forestry production. Healthy soils with stable levels of organic matter are also better equipped to prevent and fight soil-borne diseases. Soil organic matter plays a vital part in enhancing soil fertility and quality on 3 levels: chemical, physical, and biological. Challenges specifically linked to the Mediterranean region. We don't need to talk about that because we're not in the Mediterranean region. Here it is. Chemical. Soil organic matter significantly improves the soil's capability and capacity to store and supply essential nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, and to retain toxic elements. Okay. It allows the soil to cope with changes in soil acidity and helps soil minerals to decompose faster. Physical. Soil organic matter improves soil structure. This ultimately helps to control the soil erosion and improves water filtration and water holding capacity, giving plant roots and soil organisms better living conditions. Biological. Soil organic matter is a primary source of carbon, which gives energy and nutrients to soil organisms. This supports soil functionality because it improves the activity of microorganisms in the soil, and it can enhance biodiversity. Capturing carbon in the soil also lowers emissions of CO2 to the atmosphere, and this mitigates climate change. Now, we're not going to get into that because we just ain't going to get into it. As far as that last little piece right there, that last about 4 or 5 words there, we ain't going to deal with that. Solutions to improve soil organic matter. Farmers can take measures to avoid carbon loss through decomposition, leaching via groundwater, and erosion. They can also improve soil organic matter content on the farm by adding carbon inputs. This can be plant or animal waste produced on the farm, or organic material from outside the farm. Soil organic matter can also be increased through through reduced and no tillage practices, by selecting crops that produce more diverse organic residues, and by applying crop rotations, keeping the soil covered for a long period of time. For instance, with green manures, cover crops, etc. Can also improve organic matter content. The biological quality of soil may also improve by inoculating the soil with the beneficial microorganisms, or by using bioeffectors which stimulate biological activities in the soil. So go back up here to the no tillage practices, right? So there are people, and I believe to some extent that they are right. I do not believe if I run my tiller through 1 or 2 times that I'm going to absolutely destroy everything in there. Okay, I don't believe that. And let me tell you something. You look up these videos for no-till and what these guys are having to do to no-till, and the green crops that they're raising up, and the drop and the green manure, right? They grow it, they chop it, they drop it, it rots right there, and they grow on it, right? So are there benefits to that I can see? Absolutely, 100%. Is there something that I can, pinpoint that is the only way to do it because that's going to grow the biggest and the best? No, absolutely not. Tell you what you will get out of it though. You'll get yourself some big beefy arms, some big beefy legs, and a big old beefy back, because you're going to be working, boss, and I do mean be working. All right, you're going to be out there working it like a 9 to 5. All right, because you're going to have a lot of work to do trying to compete with your grow, chop and drop stuff, right? For your green manure, all to be planting within that green manure. You're going to be working hard, and I do mean hard. I mean, there's guys out there, they're taking daggone 2x4s, 4x4s, wrapping chain around that with another like rope or something on it, grabbing it, pulling it up here like 40, 50 pounds up here, and then dropping it down and crushing their stuff, right? Just crushing it down, almost like what you would see for people that like to do crop circle stuff, right? They get the boards out there and they make it all in one pound. Well, almost like that, but for just making fertilizer, right? Guys, I believe in cover crops, and I think they work, and I know they work, but that's a whole lot of work. You just coming in there and doing it that way, right? I think that if I was going to go completely, no-till, all right? If I was going to go completely no-till, that would not be the way I would go. Wouldn't be. I would grow that stuff, but I would not grow it, drop it right there, okay? And if I did, I would probably have to be further south, okay? So I have a level of heat that will bring about decomposition throughout the year at a higher exchange rate. I believe I would also have to cover it with mulch every year, like And I don't even know if that's possible. Really, to be honest with you, I don't even know if that's possible. But in my mind, what I would have to do is grow it up, chop it, drop it, cover it with mulch, let it decompose, right? And then plant in that year, grow a cover crop of this stuff up on top of it, let it get as big as it can, chop it and drop it, cover it again with mulch. It's a big long process. Whereas if I was to do it no-till myself, I would just use mulch. I just bring in truckloads of mulch and compost, by dump load trucks, dump it, spread it, be done with it. I wouldn't even worry about growing this other stuff right there. I would probably grow it at a separate part of the yard in a different area, like the Mexican and or Bolivian sunflowers that we were talking about last week. Those are very, very high in nitrate, all right, and nitrogen. So you could, and it is a green manure, right? But I would have to grow me a crop of it, chop it, and then bring it over and drop it over, over everything, or around stuff, right? Around where I was going to plant, and let it decompose there and then do its thing. So that would be the way that I would do it. Is that the right way? Is it the best way? Probably not. There's probably 1,000 other ways you could do it, and each way would be, set up specifically for where you live and how everything is in your area, right? I mean, we all have to adjust fire to grow within our limits and within our space and within our expertise and and our weather and our microclimates, right? Because here's the thing, I'll tell you this now and I'll tell you 1,000 times later. What I have right here in my yard is specific to my yard. Everything is specific to my yard. Okay? I go on the other side of these fences in my yard, we're dealing with a whole nother animal. Why? Because their dirt could change. You go, over here by the lake, the way that things are going to grow are going to change. Why? Because you're over by the lake, more humidity, and all these other things play a factor of being by the lake, right? Even though I'm 200 yards away from the lake here, you get right up on the lake, it's going to be a different growing dag blame it. You get over by the lake and it's going to be a completely different growing situation, right? You're going to be over there dealing with things that you don't have to deal with here. I'd say there's a whole lot more pest pressure over there by that lake than there is 200 yards away from that lake, right? I would say that the humidity and everything else that's involved with that lake is going to affect somebody that would grow right there beside the lake, right? You go up 2 miles away from my house and we go from 2297 in elevation to like 25 or something like that in elevation, right? Well, that's a 300-foot climb in elevation, and you're going to be dealing with those effects, right? The wind will be different. The sun will be different. All these things create a microclimate specific to your area. So microclimates play a big part in how we grow and what we grow, right? So always be aware of that. And like I said, I'm going to mention microclimates a lot, but it's the truth. Microclimates exist, and everybody's microclimate is within their boundaries, okay? Now, I'm not saying I go right over the fence here and it completely changes, but somewhere in that yard, if I was to set a garden up in his yard, I bet you wherever his garden is, unless it's right beside mine, right up against the fence line, I guarantee you it's not going to be the same kind of soil. It's going to be different, right? And even if he does set it right beside mine, within that soil, after, maybe 5 foot away, like from the fence line, his soil changes to something else. Because it can. It absolutely can. I've seen it. I see it here in the yard all the time. You'll be going somewhere, going in the dirt in one area, and it'll be one way, and, all of a sudden you go into this other, you be tilling, and it looks like sandy loam, then all of a sudden you're tilling something that's brown and lush and looks like, fresh manure, right? So, I mean, it's crazy, but it's like that, and you're never going to know unless you have tilled it up or what, did a soil sample or something. So anyhow, that's kind of off subject, but I just wanted to make sure that we got that in there about that. So we're going to talk about stimulating the soil quality and the soil health for long-term benefits. To improve soil fertility, farmers often focus on the soil's chemical elements and the use of chemical fertilizers. However, improving soil fertility may not always be relevant as an ultimate goal. In many wine growing areas, for instance, the best quality wines are produced from vineyards growing in poorly fertile soils. All right. If the purpose to increase carbon in the soil, then practices that favor for a slow decomposition rate of soil organic matter are the most effective. However, a slow or reduced decomposition rate may restrict the supply of nutrients to crops. What I tell you earlier, you don't want it going too slow. There's this happy medium where everything kind of meets up, right? And it's not too fast, it's not too slow, it's just right. And everything's being released on time, everything's doing what it should on time. And you've got this symbiotic relationship with everything within that, and it's growing the biggest and prettiest vegetables and fruits you've ever had in your life, right? Because it's all working like a clock. Now, the best solution may be to ensure a stable level of organic matter with yield-related and financial benefits in the long run, and advantages for soil health and disease preventions as well. Now, we're not going to be talking about the money, long-term effects on that. While I do believe that if we run our stuff like this, our fruits and our plants will be better and more productive and getting a higher yield, thus giving us better food, better quality tasting food, right? Higher yields. And with higher yields, well, you know what happens when you got higher yields. You've done canned up so much, now you don't need any more of that, right? And you done canned everything you can think of, like tomatoes. When tomatoes do really good in a year, and or peppers, right? And you're overrun with them. You can't eat enough, you can't can enough, you can't come up with enough things to do with them, you can't even give enough away, right? Well, what do? You take those tomatoes and you start profiting in them. Listen, there's nothing wrong, never let anybody tell you there's anything wrong with you making a little bit of profit out of your garden, okay? Here, it takes money to run a garden. Those seeds wasn't free. That dirt that you bought to put in them pots wasn't free to start that stuff. Your time wasn't free, okay? The little pots or cups or whatever you use was not free, okay? Everything costed something, all right? And I think people forget that, what it takes to grow stuff, right? In fact, some people are completely oblivious to that. Let's kind of talk about that for a minute. So last year I had thousands of pepper plants, right? It seemed like it, right? I planted, by the end of February, I think beginning of March last year, I had over 350 pepper plants growing. I think I ended up hitting a number of like 454, I think is what the number ended up being of pepper plants last year. Had an abundance of pepper plants. In fact, I planted so many pepper plants, I was getting 70 pounds roughly of peppers a week off of, at the prime of peppers, right? I was getting about 70 pounds worth of peppers a week. Now it varied, some weeks varied, but roughly average of 70 pounds, right? That's a lot of peppers, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of patience and everything. If anybody's ever grown peppers, you know that peppers are a pain for people to learn how to germinate. It took me from 2009 when I first set my first garden in until last year before I ever got good peppers. Now I could get them to sprout, just couldn't get them to grow, okay? And that's why I know some of these over here are going to be duds, because they're up, but they're not doing anything, right? But I've learned the trick to growing a pepper and how to get that pepper not just to germinate, not just to sprout and throw a root tail, but to actually grow and flourish and turn into this beautiful plants like you see right here. This is my sweet banana pepper plant, right? And it's doing wonderful, looking great, okay? And here we are, almost middle of February, and this thing is looking awesome, right? It needs water. Need to water them today. But anyhow, I got so many pepper plants over there. They're looking beautiful. I got Carolina Reapers and ghosts and et cetera, et cetera. Things that are really, really hard for a lot of people to even get to grow just because of their heat and not being able to figure out the soil temp is what you need, and et cetera, and making them some sort of incubation chamber or germination chamber, whatever it is, in order to grow that specific thing. So when I had all these abundance of plants, I wanted to sell them, right, and get rid of them. And I put them on there, for my hot, super hots. They were going $8-9 a piece here in West Virginia for these, super hots. So I said, well, $5, that's cheap. That's really cheap compared to what they usually go for. And you know where you got them from. You know how they've been taken care of. You know what they've been fed, and everything. You're getting a good, healthy plant. $5 should be no problem. Nobody wanted them. They wanted them, but they didn't want to pay $5 for them. Oh, will you take $1? Will you take $1? And they thought that I would let them set, and I'd finally get, well, I got to get rid of them, so I got to let something happen to them, right? And I would just give them away. Wasn't the case. I took a whole box. I mean, a big old box. I can still show you the box out there by the greenhouse of habanero peppers that I set out. I grew every one of them habanero peppers by seed, and I set a whole box of habanero peppers out there, and I let them grow right there. They grew through the box. They grew the roots. They went through the box because I used the biodegradable bags that you can put dirt in and put the plant in, and then the roots come through the bag, and the bag's biodegrades. I used that, so the roots went through that, and they went through the cardboard, and they grew right there. I picked several little habaneros off of it all year long. There was about 40 or 50 plants in there, it seemed like, but I wouldn't budge off the price. I mean, now I wasn't asking for $5 for a habanero plant. I think I did, 4 of them for $3 for habaneros, right? And that was a good price because up here they were doing, 4 of them for, I think it was $6.99 is what I believe it was at the one store. And these were not just your run-of-the-mill habaneros. Anything that I grow is not your run-of-the-mill. I usually try to stick to things that are rare, never heard of, types of things. Heirloom especially. I do not like to deal with things that everybody can find at the store. I don't want that. If you can find it at the store, if you can find it at your local mart, your local nursery, whatever, I don't want to grow it because people have no desire to really get something that they have that they already know what it is, right? That, well, I can get that anywhere. I want to deal in things that are specifically different for my area. You don't see it, you don't hear about it. People, oh, what is that? It has this effect of drawing people in. Ooh, you'll be the only one to have it, or not that many people's going to have it, because they're only going to be able to get it here, right? That has an effect on people to draw them in. Same goes when you sell that same produce, right? Maybe they don't want to buy the plant. Maybe they ain't got time to grow the garden. The only thing they got time for is coming by your house and seeing if you got any around, right? And then in that case, you say, well, yeah, I've got a few. Here you are. They're this much, right? However much you decide it is. Now, here's my other thing that I do. And this, guys, is a wonderful idea. If you got kids, let your children sell them. Don't take none of the money. Just let the kids sell them. Okay? Tell the kids, whatever you make off of them, what you make. It's your money to keep. It teaches them hard work. It teaches them people skills that they need to learn to be able to talk to people and be able to sell things. It helps them a lot in being able to, do the money thing, right? I mean, you can go right now to Wendy's, right? And you give them, let's say the change is what's something we could say here? Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think. Let me think of something. All right, so say you go to Wendy's and you pull up there, right? And you order stuff, comes out to $9.60, right? Well, you don't want 40 cents back in change, right? You have a 10, but you don't want the 40 cents back. So what you do is you give them 60 cents of your own and you give them 10.60, right? And they're looking at it like, what do? Well, instead of giving you the dollar, okay, because there are things, it says $9.60. She gave me a $10 bill, right? But then turned around and gave me 60 cents. What do I do with the 60 cents? Well, what she's saying is don't give me 40 cents back. Give me the dollar, right? And people don't understand that. This will help your children by them having to deal with money. It'll help them, right? You can help them set prices. You can get them a little scale. That's what we done. We got Jaden a scale. He weighs everything out for the people, and they buy it from him. Prices are set, and that is the price is. That's it. That's just what they are. You do have some people that'll come through and they'll try to, gyp your children on it. And in those cases, I say get lost, right? Because you're robbing the future of their wants and desires to do better in the community, right? Whenever you're trying to take advantage of them. Those things are good. Like I said, put your children out there. Now, there is one stipulation here at this place where, if they don't help, they don't get to sell. Okay, so if Jaden wants to sell out there at the road my produce that I grow, that I spend my money on to grow it, then he has got to help in the garden or around the house doing the chores, right? If he does not help, then he does not get the luxury of selling and keeping that money. Daddy will pack it all up, Daddy will take it down to the flea market, and Daddy will sell every bit of it and keep all the money for himself, okay? So you do need to make them work. There has to be some sort of an exchange there, at least in my house, for them to be able to benefit from making that money. Now, Jaden's made $50 or more in a day and only be sitting out there, less than an hour, okay? And it's on this road, and it's not a main road. It's not even, it's quarter mile or better. Well, no, it's right almost a half a mile, I guess, from the main road. And they don't just come up through here. There's no signs out at the main road saying, "Hey, garden, stand up here." It's all word of mouth. And he sits out there and sells stuff out, during evening times when people are coming home from work. So that's one thing you could do to kind of help yourself out, make yourself a little extra money. Well, make your children a little extra money. If you want to do it, you can just do it your way. But anyways. Soil health strategy for disease prevention. Soil-borne diseases can be All right, guys. Soil health strategy, disease prevention. Soil-borne diseases can more easily be prevented and suppressed by developing a soil health strategy at farm level. The EIP Agri Focus Group on Integrated Pest Management for Soil-Borne Diseases made suggestions for tackling diseases for practical research and for improving the cost-benefit ratio of IPM methods, such as cover crops and green manures, can stimulate microbial activity and help fight soil-borne diseases in the soil. By incorporating certain brassica species, notably mustards, which we have done out here in our pumpkin patch, and we'll probably do this year in the fall on our entire patch, on everything. The garden, the pumpkins, the sunflower, everything. We'll probably get mustards this year. Into the soil, gases are released that can help to suppress soil-borne diseases. Basically, it is a biofumigant. These like Kodiak mustards and things of those natures, the hotter the mustard, the more biofumigant you got. Several studies have shown that using compost can help suppress pests and diseases. All right, so there's that. Let's find some more information and try to get you guys up to speed. These are things that I've been read and put down in my notes. So want to get y'all the best information we can get y'all. All right, guys. So the last one that I was talking about, those excerpts was from the European Commission. This one here is from, let's see here, the Sustainable Agricultural Research and Education, SARE, S-A-R-E. All right. They're going to talk about, soils, the overwhelming effect on almost all soils, properties, and in general, presentatives in relative small amounts, of what organic matter will do for them. A typical agricultural soil has 1 to 6% organic matter by weight. It consists of 3 distinctive parts: living organisms, fresh residues, and molecules derived from well-decomposed residues. These 3 parts of soil organic matter have been described as the living, the dead, and the very dead. This 3-way classification may seem simple and unscientific, but it is very useful in understanding the soil organic matter. The living is part of soil organic matter, includes a wide variety of microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoas, and algae. It even includes plant roots and the insects, earthworms, and larger animals such as moles, woodchucks, and rabbits that spend their time in the soil. The living portion represents about 15% of the total soil organic matter. The range of organisms in the soil is so great that it is estimated that they represent about 25% of the world's total biodiversity. That's a lot. Microorganisms, earthworms, and insects feed on plant residues and manures for energy and nutrition. And in the process of they mix organic matter into the mineral soil. In addition, they recycle plant nutrients, sticky substances on the skin of the earthworms, and the sticky substance of the skin on the skin, of the earthworms, and other materials produced by fungi help bind particles together. This helps to stabilize the soil aggregates, which are clumps of particles that make up good soil structure. Sticky substances on the plant roots, as well as the proliferation of the fine roots and their association with mycorrhizae, help promote development of stable soil aggregates. Stable soil organisms such as earthworms. Soil structures. Oh man, I messed up. Sticky substance on the plant, as well as proliferation of the fine roots and their associated mycorrhizae, help promote development of stable soil aggregates. Organisms such as earthworms and fungi also help to stabilize the soil structure, for example, by producing channels that are allowing water to infiltrate, and thereby improve soil water status and aeration. Plant roots also interact in significant ways with various microorganisms and animals living in the roots, or in the soil, Another important aspect of soil organisms is that they are in a constant struggle with each other. You can find that here, somewhere. Further discussion on the interactions between the soil organisms and roots and among the various soil organisms as provided in Chapter 4. We may go into that a little bit later. A multitude of microorganisms, earthworms, and insects get their energy and nutrients by breaking down organic matter, organic residues in soils. At the time, much of the energy stored in the residues is used by organisms to make new chemicals as well as new cells. How does energy get stored inside organic residues in the first place? Green plants use the energy of sunlight to link carbon atoms together into larger molecules. This process, known as photosynthesis, is used by the plants to store energy for respiration and growth, and much of the energy ends up as residues in the soil after the plant dies. All right, so we're going to end this right here. We're going to end this video right here, and we're going to do a part 2 on this, so this video don't get too long. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you watching. All right, we got the vintage. It's beautiful. My goodness gracious. Awesome. Beautiful. So, guys, again, we appreciate you watching. And we'll see you tomorrow right here in the hollers and hills of West Virginia.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Hit that notification bell. Don't forget to share.
Thank you, good sir.
You're welcome. And subscribe.